What many people think about today is the nightmare of poverty in old age. It comes like a plague, and you cannot shake it off. It crawls into your thoughts, stays there, and refuses to leave. My mind is full of anger, sadness, hate, and despair. You feel beaten down, weak, and helpless, as if every month takes another piece of you away and leaves you with less strength than BF. And the worst part is knowing that it keeps getting worse. Not because of anything we did wrong, but because everything around us is falling apart, and we are the ones who have to carry the weight. At some point you ask yourself the question nobody wants to say out loud. Why is this happening to us? There is an anger that never sleeps. It does not shout, it does not break anything. It simply sits inside you and keeps you awake at night. You lie there, staring into the darkness, while your thoughts turn like a storm. You cannot see. Ape. You think about how everything becomes more expensive, how every bill feels like a punch in the stomach, how your wallet gets emptier, no matter how hard you fight, save, or sacrifice. It is this unfairness that burns inside you because you know you did not. Hing wrong. This anger is not loud. It does not scream. It does not destroy. It just sits deep inside you, tight and heavy, and keeps your eyes open, long after the night should have given you peace. And while you lie there, in that silence, you know exactly why you cannot sleep. Because this crisis is not your fault, but you are the one paying the price. There comes a moment in life when something inside you simply stops fighting. Not because you want to, but because you cannot anymore. You feel that every effort becomes heavier than the strength you still have left. You stop asking questions. You stop searching for answers. You stop hoping that the next month will be any better. It feels like standing in a storm, without shelter, without support, without direction. Resignation is quiet. It does not scream. It does not cry. It does not break anything. It just sits deep inside you, cold and heavy, telling you that you are tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of waiting. Tired of believing. And in that silence, you feel yourself sinking a little deeper, month after month, until you barely recognize the person you used to be. There is a kind of pain no one sees. It is not loud. It does not show itself in tears. And it does not ask for attention. It simply sits deep inside, slowly eating away at your soul, without anyone nodding. You go through the day, talking, smiling, functioning, but inside something burns that you cannot explain. It is this silent pain that grows every month as you lose a little more. Money, strength, security. You say nothing because you do not want to burden anyone. You show nothing because you want to appear strong. But the pain stays, like a shadow that follows you, wherever you go. And sometimes, when you are alone, you feel it more than ever. Then you realize how deeply this crisis has hit you, and how much it hurts, even though no one sees it. There is a moment everyone in this crisis knows. You open your wallet, and it feels like looking into a deep void. Not because it is completely empty, but because there is less every month. A little more loss, a little more fear. You count the money, slowly, carefully, hoping there might be a hidden bill you somehow missed. But there is none. There is only this emptiness, telling you straight to your face. It's not enough. And that emptiness hurts. It hits harder than any bill, harder than any price increase, harder than any bad news. Because it shows how far you have already fallen, and how little room you have left. You close the wallet, slowly, as if you were closing your hope with it. And in that moment, you feel the full weight of this crisis, right in your chest. There are things in life that burn deeper than anger. It is this feeling of injustice that eats you from the inside. You worked, you saved, you fought, and still you end up worse off than ever before. You see people who did nothing wrong, slipping further down. You see retirees who worked their whole lives, now unsure if the month will be enough. And you ask yourself, how can this be fair? This injustice hits harder than any price increase, harder than any bad news, harder than any bill, because it shows that we did not fail, but the system did, the one that was supposed to protect us. And this feeling stays in your heart. It does not let go. It makes you angry, sad, desperate, because you know you are paying for mistakes you never made. The energy crisis hits harder than anyone ever expected. You watch the numbers rise, month after month, and you are powerless against it. It feels like someone is slowly tightening a grip around you, and you cannot break free. You turn the heating down. You save electricity. You switch off everything that is not absolutely necessary. But at the end of the month, the bill still arrives, like a punch in the face, and you wonder how much longer you and endure this. This crisis eats into everyday life. It takes away the warmth in winter, the safety of your home, and the feeling that at least there you are protected. You suddenly live in a state where you fear turning on a HT, or using the stove. And that is what makes this energy crisis so brutal. It does not only take money, it takes your sense of normality, your calm, your security. It shows you every day how vulnerable you have become. Sometimes it feels as if the decisions made above have nothing to do with the life down here, as if two different worlds exist. One where people talk about numbers, and one where people must live with tea. You hear big words, big plans, big promises, but in the end, only the bill arrives down here. And that bill is always higher, heavier, or painful. It feels as if people like us are forgotten, as if no one sees how these decisions destroy everyday life, how they push people into a corner who already have no room left. And that is what hurts. Not the politics itself, but the feeling of no longer belonging, of no longer being seen, of carrying the weight that others have created. It starts quietly. You do not notice it at first. But one day you realize that everyday life no longer works the way it used to. Small things that once felt natural now feel heavy, uncertain, fragile. You buy less. You think twice before putting anything in the cart. You give up things that used to be normal. A coffee outside, a piece of cake, a small trip. Everything becomes a disease. That hurts. Everyday life loses its ease. It becomes tight, cold, and full of worry. You no longer simply live. You calculate. You plan. You hope that somehow it will be enough. And that makes each day heavier than the one before. You notice how life has changed, not through one big event, but through 1,000 small cuts that go deeper every month, until you finally understand. Everyday life is no longer everyday life. It has become a struggle. There is a fear that is not loud, yet controls every thought. It is the fear of tomorrow, the fear of what the next month will bring, which bill will arrive, which price will rise again. You live in a state where the future no longer means hope, but worry. You wake up in the morning and feel that uncertainty immediately. You do not know if it will be enough, if you will make it through, if there is still anything left to save. When nothing is left to cut, this fear sits in your stomach, your mind, your heart, and it does not leave. You think about things that once were normal, a full fridge, a warm home, a secure month. Today, these are no longer certainties, but questions that follow you every day, questions that grow heavier. The longer this crisis lasts. And that is what makes this fear so brutal. It is not loud, it is not visible, but it is always there. It follows you like a shadow, reminding you that tomorrow is no longer what it used to be. There is a fear that goes deeper than any bill. It is the fear of not being able to pay the rent. Many people today stand exactly at that point. They earn maybe 1,500 euros net, but must pay 1,000 euros in rent, because prices have exploded in recent years. And you wonder how this is supposed to work. Then come the healthcare costs. More and more things are no longer covered. You have to pay extra. You have to fight. You have to hope that you do not get sick. It feels as if the system is slowly cracking, and you are standing right underneath it. Many people feel that everything is becoming more expensive, because more and more pressure is placed on those who work, who pay, who struggle. You see housing shortages rising, health insurance overwhelmed, contributions climbing higher and higher, and you wonder how long this can continue. You hear that people should work longer, that widow pensions might be cut or removed, that pensions are taxed, even though you already paid taxes for your pension during your working life. And at some point, it feels as if your dignity is being taken away, not through one big blow, but through 1,000 small decisions that hit you month after month. At some point, you begin to ask yourself why all of this is happening, why a life that once felt stable has turned into a constant struggle. You sit there, thinking, trying to understand where the meaning in all of this is supposed to be. You ask yourself why people who work their whole lives now have to fear whether the month will be enough, why you must pay for things that used to be normal, why you receive less while being asked to give more, and you find no answer. That feels right. You think about how much has already been lost. Security, calm, stability, dignity, and you wonder if this is truly the path a country should take, a country that once felt strong, fair, reliable. This question of meaning echoes in your mind. It returns again and again, no matter how hard you try to push it away. And the longer this crisis lasts, the louder that echo becomes, until you wonder if anyone up there still knows what it feels like down here. At some point, you begin to ask yourself why life has suddenly become so heavy, why things that once felt normal have turned into a struggle. You sit there, staring into the quiet, trying to understand where the meaning in all of this is supposed to be. You ask yourself why people who work their whole lives now have to fear whether the month will be enough, why you must pay for things that used to be part of everyday life, why you receive less while being asked to give more, and you find no answer. That feels right. You think about how much has already been lost. Security, calm, stability, dignity, and you wonder if this is truly the path a country should take, a country that once felt strong, fair, reliable. This question of meaning echoes in your mind. It returns again and again, no matter how hard you try to push it away. And the longer this crisis lasts, the louder that echo becomes, until you wonder if anyone up there still knows what it feels like down here. This was a heavy journey, a journey filled with worry, questions, and fear. We spoke about what people truly feel today: the sleepless anger, the resignation, the silent pain, the empty wallet, the injustice, the energy crisis, the collapsing everyday life, the fear of tomorrow, and the question meaning. Life has become harder. It demands more every day, presses every month, tests every hope. And yet we stand here, with open eyes, with honest words, with the courage to speak the truth. This was only one part, one chapter, one piece of the reality that so many people live through today. And that is why it will continue. Many more parts will follow. Many voices, any stories, many truths. If this film spoke to you, if you saw yourself in these words, if you feel that this message matters, I would be happy if you subscribe to my channel so you won't miss the next parts, the upcoming episodes, the stories that still need to be told.